we'll very shortly be in 3 businesses and a hobby.
A hobby. Okay.
And the businesses are, one, our Mac business, which we love and is growing really well. The second is our music business, and each of those 2 are about $10 billion businesses for us. And the third business we're about to get in is the phone business, handsets.
You have a phone? You're about to have a phone?
About to have a phone.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll send you one.
Thanks.
And then the hobby is Apple TV. And it's the reason I call it a hobby is because a lot of people have tried and failed to, make that a business.
Talk about the Mac business and where you think it is.
Well, we all use Macs at Apple. We love the Mac. And so we're steadily trying to improve things, as everybody in our industry is. The growth that we've seen over the last several quarters, really since we got through that Intel transition, has been about 3 times the market growth rate. So we've been picking up market share for the last,
In other words, the overall PC growth rate is X and Mac growth is 3X.
Yes.
Is that worldwide or U.S.?
That's worldwide.
And in the U.S.,
if you parse out the U.S. numbers, it's even more than that. It approaches 5X.
What phone are you carrying? You have a phone with you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You want to show it? You want to
Sure.
wave it around?
Just a little thing here. Best iPod we've ever made, by the way.
That's the best iPod you've
Best
ever made.
iPod we've ever made. Best phone we've ever made, too.
Yeah, that's great. Are you still on track to ship that?
Yeah.
When?
Late June.
Late June.
Yeah.
That means like the very last day of June, or what does that mean?
Yeah. If you talk to great venture capitalists, they'll tell you that they invest in people, not ideas. Even if the ideas are great, they're really investing in the people. And I think Singular invested in us. They took a gamble on us. And likewise, we took a gamble on them. And so I will never forget that.
Why do you think they did it? Do you think they did it because they wanted to associate your brand with theirs? You have a hot brand. They're relaunching their company.
I think they did it for 2 reasons. The first reason they did it was because music on phones hasn't been so successful so far. And they really wanted to do something good with music on phones, and they knew with the iPod built into the phone we could do that. The second reason, though, I think is even more profound, and that is that they, along with everyone else in the business, have spent and are spending a fortune to build these 3G networks.
Right.
And so far, there ain't a lot to do with them. People have not voted with their pocketbooks to sign up for video on their phones. It hasn't really worked. So they've got a lot of bandwidth, but these phones are not capable of taking advantage of it because their internet experience is so poor. You've used the internet, or you've tried to use the internet on your phone, and it's terrible. They have lousy browsers. I mean, you don't get the internet. You get the baby internet or the mobile internet or something bizarre. And what people want is the real internet on their phone. And they believe that we could deliver that.
Any features of the iPhone that you haven't announced that you would like to share with us here today?
No. Sorry.
But you put out a press release this morning announcing 2 things. I guess the bigger one was that you've begun to sell these non-copy protected songs on the iTunes Store.
Right.
From EMI. Is it only EMI or?
Right now it's just EMI, but there's zillions of independents that are also jumping on this bandwagon. So as fast as we can now get their stuff encoded, you'll see more and more on there.
Okay, and those...
as we've said before, I think over half the songs we offer on iTunes will be offered in what we call iTunes Plus, which is our DRM-free, higher quality audio versions by the end of this calendar year.
A lot of your rivals were already lobbying the record labels for a long time, partly because they thought it was a way to break your hold on the market or reduce your share because of this idea that there was lock-in. In other words, I buy a bunch of songs protected by your DRM. They're on my iPod. Even if they're only a minority of the songs on the iPod, it makes me much more reluctant to buy a different device, even if something about that device is attractive to me, because I can't play these songs on there. Were you just kind of getting ahead of the train that was already moving when you wrote that letter? And
well, again, if you look at the total number of iPods we've sold, and you look at the total number of songs we've sold on iTunes, it's less than 25 per iPod. So, and the average iPod user has hundreds of songs on their iPod.
Right.
So they're clearly not getting the majority of their songs from iTunes. It turns out they're not even getting even a medium-sized minority from iTunes. And so this whole notion that somehow we have a lock-in, that iTunes is locking people in to buy iPods, is ridiculous.
This part of your business is really the iPod. I mean, I know that I think you make a little money, or at least you don't lose any money on the iTunes store, but the business is the iPod, not the, the business.
Well, there's three pieces to it. There's the iPod, there's iTunes, the jukebox, which runs on PCs or Macs and is free, right? And you don't even have to use it with an iPod if you don't want to. As a matter of fact, many people don't. And then there's the online store in the cloud, right?
Right. But the iPod is the biggest part. I mean, the iTunes, the client, is free.
Money.
The store doesn't make all that much money because most of whatever I pay for a song goes
to the
label.
Music companies, that's right.
So, your big business is the iPod, and the question is, do you jeopardize that when DRM goes away by breaking the kind of the hold or the tie between the store and the...
Well, again, if people are getting, the vast majority of music for their iPods from places other than the iTunes store, I think the iPod's winning because it's the best music player, or it's the preferred music player.
Is the iPhone a wireless iPod, or is it a phone that has an iPod in it? I know that sounds weird, but I mean, what's the right way for people to think about that?
It's three things. It's the best iPod we've ever made. It's an incredibly great cell phone. People are probably overlooking that part of it, thinking, well, all cell phones are the same. But we've really revolutionized how you use a cell phone. If it was nothing but a cell phone, it'd be really successful. And then the third thing is it's the internet in your pocket for the first time. And if it was any one of those three, it would be successful.
One of the big kind of holy grails has been to have a great pocket internet device, and you're working on that. One has been to connect the internet or the content on your computers and the internet to your TV.
So I've got an Apple TV over here. One of the most incredible things that's happened over the last few years is YouTube, right?
Yeah, we have the YouTube founders here, yeah.
Original generated content.
Right.
And so we can just go into YouTube now, just like we can go into movies or TV shows. And you can see, the parade of videos here. And we have tried to implement most of their features here. We have featured, most viewed, most recent, top rated. You can search. And so there you go.
Only a D, YouTube on a 100-inch screen,
That's right.
But that's the question. That was my next question. I mean, to be honest, I don't know what the resolution is of this video setup we have here, but, I imagine you have a big screen TV. I have a big screen TV. This not being a particularly poor audience probably all has a big screen TV. I mean, YouTube clips, sometimes they don't look great in a small window on your laptop.
Oh, I agree.
How are they going to look? Do you do anything to them inside the Apple TV, or?
The biggest thing limiting the quality of the YouTube clips is actually the source material that YouTube gets.
Right.
And slowly but surely, people are figuring out how to use better, camcorder techniques and lighting and encode them better. But you get what you get. Yeah, it's one more piece of the puzzle, but it's amazing how fun it is to watch this stuff in your living room rather than just on your computer.
Okay, so when you bring an Apple TV home, or an iPhone actually, and you want to connect it to the computers in your house, and let's say they're all Windows computers,
right?
All you need is iTunes software, right?
Right.
You don't need to go into the Windows control panel and set up, they have their method for setting up a network and connecting devices and all, but you just take care of that all inside iTunes.
Well, yeah, you did it. You know what it's like.
I know. So the question is, how many copies of iTunes are out there?
Lots.
No, but I mean, okay. Compared to the number of iPods, is it 50% more than the number of iPods, or
several times more?
Several times. So there's like 100. I think your announced figure of iPod sales is
100
million. You're saying this could be 300 million copies of iTunes,
or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
So that makes you an enormous Windows software developer.
We are.
How does that feel?
Well, we've got cards and letters from lots of people that say that iTunes is their favorite app on Windows.
But I mean, I knew you. I knew you. I think here at D actually.
It's like giving a glass of ice water to somebody in hell.